Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. And before we get into the review, I just wanted to put up the teaser trailer in case anybody doesn't really know what this is. Some of my subscribers might be watching this and needing a little bit of context. So we're going to play the teaser trailer right before we do the review, just to, give you guys a look at what this show kind of is about. But also, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, please consider becoming a subscriber. We're a small channel, but we're growing a little bit every day, and that's very encouraging, and it continues to be encouraging when we see people, we, meaning me, like the stuff that you're doing. So enjoy the promo and get ready for the review. Thanks.
I love stories. Heroes go on adventures in other worlds, defy insurmountable odds. Stories are like
the living thing. My father,
he wrote me.
said we have a secret legacy, a birthright that's been kept from us in Lovecraft country.
That place, it's not real.
You sure?
They don't like outsiders at all. I found more than a few stories about travelers being attacked in the surrounding woods.
By what?
Gotta go, right now, gotta go.
I know we were all meant to go through trials and tribulations. But this world is haunting us.
Didn't come back around it.
It's like the devil.
The American dream.
Depends on the question, what is reality? What is reality?
Alright, everybody. Welcome back officially to Smirking Gun Reviews. I'm Rob. Welcome back to the channel. And we're talking about Lovecraft Country. The name that I couldn't remember for the life of me all last week when I kept thinking, I can't wait to talk about this show that I can't remember the title of. But it's here. Difficult finding it. I don't know if anybody else has HBO Max, but on my HBO Max app, this show was not findable whenever I looked it up. They had the trailer, they had a radio thing, they had a bunch of things, but not the show. It was literally minutes. Usually they have it up, ready to click on, so you can add it to your list. It just, the show was not there. Well past 8 o'clock by the time it finally popped up on my screen and got to watch it. And wow. I'm glad I was legit that I wasn't going to get to watch this. I thought maybe it was the wrong time, the wrong day. But Lovecraft Country is here, and I'm here to tell you right off the bat, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it, even though there's so much in it that is very difficult. And again, HBO swings for the fences with topical, hard-hitting, drama that is very relevant to today. And just like Watchmen before it, and, and parts of Perry Mason and other stuff that they've been putting out. It's a very important story, but then gives you something else in return that's very entertaining at the same time. Lovecraft. Now, I'm not familiar with H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, I know of it. I know people love it. I know it's sci-fi, noir-esque kind of stuff. And even then, people are probably hearing me describe it, and they're like, you really don't know what it is. And just like his Dark Materials before it on this channel, on HBO, I'm playing catch up. I'm trying to learn about Lovecraft as I'm watching this show. But I'm also learning about history. History was my favorite school. And the older I get, the more I'm realizing that they weren't telling us everything. When I was a kid, when they talked about the Civil War, I was proud that I lived in Illinois and that we were part of the North and that, we were one of the states that, was part of the Union. The older I get, I realize that that doesn't really mean much. Not from the perspective of the African Americans who've had to live the other side of that history. And that's one of the biggest parts of this show is set in the 1950s Jim Crow era. And I've seen plenty of movies and shows that have dealt with racism. But again, as the older I get, the more ashamed I am of this country's history and the treatment of African Americans and other minorities. And that's a huge part of this show, is seeing life from the perspective of what it's like to be an African American back then. And how not much has changed. And that just taking a trip to, anywhere can cost you your life. So let's start talking about it. The first thing I want to talk about is the cast. I really dig this cast. First off, we got Jonathan Majors, who I'm not that familiar with. I'm glad we're getting to see some newer faces and some older faces too. Some standards too from HBO. Jonathan Majors was in the thing I most recently saw him in was Defy Bloods, the Spike Lee movie with Delroy Lindo. He was really good in that. And he's fantastic in this as Atticus Freeman. Then you got Journey Smollett, Belle. First her name comes up, Journey Smollett. She must have gotten married or something. But I knew her. I seen her in Birds of Prey and True Blood. Then you got Courtney B. Vance, man. I mean, come on. Courtney B. Vance. Hunt for Red October. He's been on Masters of Sex and ER and everything. Hunt for Red October, man. He's the guy who told the story about Paganini or, like Pavarotti. I love him in that movie. And then, of course, he's not in the episode yet, but Michael Kenneth Williams from The Wire and Boardwalk Empire. A really funny stint on Community. The guy is amazing. I can't wait for him to show up on the show. What I also love is that that's really recognize anybody, especially all the white guys and the white ladies in this series. I love that we've got a real African American cast, the main cast, and all the whiteys appear to be racist, but it's 1950s Jim Crow. And it's starting to make me really look at the past and go, was it really that bad? Apparently it was. And it just makes me, again, ashamed. And it's like, it wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. And not to say that things are great now. But when we're treated in this episode, the more it impacts me that things have to change more and more and more. It's like, how much longer are we going to keep this kind of situation to keep happening to other people that are citizens of this country? But anyway, to try to stay on track here, because it really is impactful to me. The main characters are Atticus Freeman, Letitia, Uncle George, and when he shows up, Montrose Freeman. And like I said, this show takes place in the 50s, Jim Crow laws, and Atticus Freeman is back from the Korean War. This cold open that they do, well, not cold open, but this beginning of a war, a battlefield, and you get that narration. It starts in black and white, then goes into like great 1950s color. It reminded me of the old horror sci-fi movies, because all of a sudden there's UFOs and there's tentacle monsters and Spartan warriors and women coming down out of spaceships and giant Cthulhu monsters and Jackie Robinson. And of course this is a dream sequence. And I was like, man, I wish I had dreams like that. Actually, I have. I had a dream, and I know people hate hearing about other people's dreams, but I had a dream that was like similarly crazy where I was in a house, John Travolta as Vic Vega from Pulp Fiction came in, started a dance party that ended up pouring out of the house, and outside of the house was the Hoth set from Empire Strikes Back, full battle going on as everybody danced. So, dreams are crazy. But anyway, he's a sci-fi fan, and he has this great line that he's walking down the road with this lady, and you know they're talking about how this guy was ex-Confederate. He was talking about John Carter from Mars, and how he was an ex-Confederate soldier. And when she's like, when you fought on the side of slavery, you don't get to put X in front of that. And he says, well, you know, stories are like people. Loving them doesn't make them perfect, but you try to overlook their flaws. And even then, you know, like, he's trying to come at things from a standpoint of that's just, you know, like way more compassionate than he needs to be, defending a fictional character. But, you know, you find out that he went to war because of his dad. His relationship with his dad, played by Michael Kenneth Williams, was bad, but that he's coming home because now his father's gone missing. And we have this whole mystery surrounding this show, to where his dad went. And this whole first episode is like kind of setting up the world and the situation that they're in. Where George, Uncle George, played by Cordy B. Vance, runs a business that also broke my heart. Because this feels like it was a real thing. And again, I didn't do any research on this. I didn't know what this show was going to be about, so I didn't have time to look it up while it was happening. But it sounds like too real. It sounds too sad to not be real. And that's that he does a guidebook to show where, and I think I've heard of this actually, where black people can travel that's safe. And that's just fucked up. Can you imagine any, you know, like, I try to think of myself, you know, as any, you know, Mr. Cracker USA, right? Where, I don't know what just happened there. Hang on, folks. My PlayStation just decided to go crazy. But it's so fucked up that if I had to go look at a guide to tell me what states, what roads, what towns, what counties, what cities at all, what restaurants are safe for me to go to, where you're not going to have to worry about getting killed because of the color of your skin. That's just one of the saddest things I've ever heard in my life. But it's a very smart idea. And I'm surprised that, and maybe there still are, versions of these guidebooks floating around. But that's what George does. And his wife, you know, she mentions, why don't I go? And he's like, you know, it's dangerous for a woman out there to go out alone. And you or me, like, I go out and it's dangerous. So the whole mystery comes, you know, we get to find out a little bit more that the father, Tix, you know, I'm going to call it, Atticus's dad, he found out where his family comes from. And he gets this very distressed, George gets this very distressed look on his face. And it's, you know, Arkham, Massachusetts. It's kind of the place where Lovecraft, you know, apparently based stuff on. But it actually says that it's A-R-D, not A-R-K. And then he left 2 weeks before with a well-off looking white guy in a silver sedan. So they have their jumping off point. And we have this great black party scene where it's like, man, if white people had black parties like this, I'd probably go to them. Because I've seen white people black parties. No, 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 no. But if they looked like this party that's in this episode, I'd go. I'd go to one of those. Um, then we get a little history of Letitia and her family. Letitia's kind of been a free spirit, doing whatever. We start to find out a little bit more about what's going on with her through her brother too, really through arguments. But she's along for the ride, and they literally have this map that's full of monsters, like the old maps where they would put sea monsters across the globe where they didn't know where things were, and here be monsters. Or literally they've drawn where things are. Like here's the clan, here's werewolves. And it's just, again, it's just messed up. But they find out that Artem hasn't been really mentioned in a long time. And there's a Grim Reaper right there in the middle of Devon County where they're supposed to be headed. He also he makes a phone call to South Korea to, I'm assuming, maybe a sweetheart, who says, you went home, you shouldn't have. And then there's a really cute goodbye, and I really love this scene. I really love this where he's talking about leaving, and the daughter being embarrassed that they do this every single time he leaves, and he wants his travel comic that she writes, and it's just really cute scene. And so they go off on their journey to go to this place. And they go past places that say, don't let the sun set on you here. Understand? There's more words on that, but I'm not going to do that. But that's basically where they're headed. They're driving through all these places, and it's just like, this shouldn't... Realizing that the world, and that there are places that are still like that, where you can't even go to get something to eat. And in this, it's an extreme situation. And I love the why is the White House white? Because it was, to cover up the burns when they burned it down. And they're literally chased out of town by cops in the fire department. They want to kill him. But they run into the silver sedan, who turns in front of them, in front of the car that's chasing them. Before they even hit the car flips over, and I'm assuming those guys probably all got fucking killed. Good. So a white girl with a red hat gets out, and they end up in Devon County. Apparently this place has been founded by witch hunters. So that's not great. They say it's like what the founder's name is Eustace. If that name doesn't say racist, I don't know what does. And I hear a name like Eustace, and I'm glad that people don't name people that anymore. There's probably some Eustaces still out there, but let's just say it's not like in the top 10 of the baby names book. And it's unfortunate that, that if racist names can die, why can't racism itself? But it's not how it works. So they end up trying to find this place where they can't find the road. They can't to get there, and they get off. And this is where it gets a little... This is like when From Dusk Till Dawn went from being a dangerous road movie to a monster movie. It's fantastic. Except it starts off more like Mississippi Burning, where they're just on the side of the road looking for this other road that'll take them to Artem. They hear some rustling in the bushes. He says, oh, it's a Shoggoth. This big blobby type creature with 1,000 eyes, 1,000,000 eyes, whatever. At the same time, a cop shows up. And this cop is gotta be in the top 10 most scary racist cops I've ever seen, and put the television at least. Because he tells them that this isn't just a sundown city, this is a sundown county, and it'd be illegal for them to hang all of them. And his glee, his pleasure, his desire to do that is palpable. And when he makes them say what he makes them say, just to do a U-turn, and then just the menace of, can we go south? Oh, you're not going to make it. You're going to speed and I'll have to pull you over. Go north. Maybe you can make it. He hounds them the whole way. He pounds against their car until they cross the railroad tracks into another county. But as soon as they did and they were like, woo! I was like, oh, this ain't over. That was way too easy. They did that beat. They took that beat where it's, oh, everything's all great, right? But in any other horror movie, it's when you turn around that the thing is right in front of, the thing that's going to really hurt you is right in front of you. Or right behind you. Except in this case, it's literally right in front of them. Where they're left with an ambush by the rest of the cops. Maybe they're in the right county. Maybe they're the next county over cops. I don't think they are. I think he called his boys to meet him on the other side of the county because nobody's there to stop him. And they pulled them out of their cars because they say that somebody got robbed. Somebody got, their house broken into, and they lead them out into the woods to confess or something. But I mean, they're going out there to kill them, to just murder them like dogs in the dirt. Now, as tense as this scene was, and as awful as it was, hearing these cops say the most vile things, I knew that this was where we were going to make our complete right turn into horror, and we do. Where the monsters that Atticus spoke of literally come running out of the bushes and rip his men apart. And it was fantastic, watching these racists get destroyed by these 100-eyed monster blob dog vampire things, whatever they are. I don't care. And then it's, they get to basically the cabin from Evil Dead, and they put together that light hurts them. That's why they didn't see any of them. Uncle George finally makes it in. So does the last two racist cops, one being the sheriff. And they realize that somebody's got to run for the car where they can have more lights, and they've got the flares and everything to try to survive till morning. But I don't think those cops had any intention of letting them live past sunup. But unfortunately, what they find out is that when you get bit by one of these things, just like a vampire, you become one. And thankfully, Letitia shows up to drive the car right into the house as they wait for sunrise. And just as they are surrounded, a whistle blows like a dog whistle. The Shoggoths all run off, and they are saved for now. And covered in blood and weary, they make it to Artem. They find this big-ass mansion. They knock on the door, and the whitest guy in the entire universe answers the door. I mean, this guy is pure Aryan nation, white guy, Hitler's wet dream, standing in front of them, saying, "Welcome home." This is a great beginning episode. It gives you everything you want. It gives you a great history lesson, and then entertains you at the end by seeing a bunch of racist white cops get eaten by monsters. That's an oversimplification, but I can't wait to see where they go next, because this was a nice setup for the world, and by the promo for the weeks ahead, it's going to get even crazier. This show was well acted, well written. I loved the pace of it. I love the slow build, just like in From Dusk Till Dawn. It has this just great long setup of talking about the characters and what they're going through and the mystery surrounding it and all of that build up. And then, just like in that movie, it just suddenly takes a tone change. Now, like From Dusk Till Dawn, some people might not like that tone change. All of a sudden it just goes from racist historical drama to monsters. But hey, it's called Lovecraft Country, not Bridges of Racist Madison County. So anyway, I can't wait to see where they're going next with this. It sounds like it's going to be a blast. And, hey, it's helping you learn a little bit about some of the history you should have been taught in school. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. We'll be back next week with more. Have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye. If I can turn this off.